Hola, hola a todos. Feliz miércoles. Buenas noches. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in this your Facebook community, transformation through acquisition-driven instruction. I am so happy to be able to reconnect with you today and to be able to share with you today. I am here with my friend Claudia Elliott. And so, good afternoon, good morning if you're going to be watching the replay of this, because I'm going to be sharing it with you as well. Good afternoon, and Instagram if you're watching this from Instagram later on. So we are here and we are so happy to be able to share with you. Just we're going to have a chat. My favorite types of chats are the informal chats. Those are just, they just are more spontaneous, come from the heart. So we're going to be having a chat about using music in the classroom, which is one of my favorite things of all the time to use with my learners. And I am so glad because I always think that that's one thing that I really can always extend. With a song, we can do so much. Or we can just do a little bit. We're not like we don't have to do everything with a song. So I'm super excited. I have already shared with you in the past. There should be a recording in here somewhere in this Facebook community about using music in the classroom. But we're going to talk about different things that we didn't get to touch on last time. And I am super happy to be able to share this topic with my friend Claudia Elliott, who's here from her community, Growing with CI. And I am so glad to have her here because I'm gonna have a lot of comments to throw at Claudia, so that she can tell me yes or no, or you can do this better this way, because she always has the best of ideas. So thank you so much, Claudia, for being with us today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Berta. I'm already loving it because I'm seeing a comment of Rebecca saying, Hola, mis reinas.
Oh,
And it's right back at you, Rebecca. I love to come here. It's just such a safe, great, amazing place to be. Thank you, Berta, for inviting me. I love to have, as you said, these informal conversations where we just share what works in our classes, what it doesn't work, and just coming from just two Spanish teachers sharing what we do, and it's great. And you know what I love the best, and I know that you have a lot of questions as well as I do. A lot of teachers ask me, how can you get the energy to share so much, to be with them? But the honesty is that I have learned so much since I started doing this, because every time that I have a conversation, a light bulb is like boom, is turned on. Every time I hear an idea, I read a comment, something that helps me reflect. So if you benefit for these sessions, we do too. And it's my honor really to come here to your living room, to your dining room, to your kitchen, or wherever you're listening, to just come to you and have this conversation. So thank you, all of you, for having me. Thank you, Berta, for inviting me.
no, I have to agree. Thank you, Mariuxi. Thank you, Dr. Henshaw. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. And I have to agree 100%. Every conversation, every presentation, whether it's an informal conversation or just, we're doing a session together, it's a true honor because we can reflect about what we do in the classroom. And sometimes or you ask us questions that make us think a little bit deeper, and then again that light bulb moment. So it's just we're so honored to be able to share it with you today. So Claudia, let's just chime right in, because you and I tend to like totally just get lost in the rabbit hole of like any topic that we're passionate about. So how Claudia, tell us how much into your teaching practice, when was it, or can you remember the first song that you started using with your students in your classroom, and what you did with the first song ever? Like before,
I think one of my first songs was oh my gosh, it was from Juanes, of course. It had to be from Juanes because he had to be a Colombian singer, and it was about uh, oh my gosh, it just came out of my mind. It was the one that he's talking about, El Chaman, and the alternative medicine. And I remember that I was in my level 3 class. And I just didn't know much. I know that I really like the song. I know that the lyrics of the songs were perfect for the topic that we're talking about, because we're talking about like natural medicine versus like traditional medicine. And it was perfect because it really kind of showed the importance of the natural medicine in Colombia, and like the heritage and the influence and the cultural influence and everything that I wanted to do. But I didn't know more than that. So I brought the song, and I remember that I played the song, and I gave my students a lyric of the song with some blank spaces. And I said, okay, let's do. And it was a disaster, of course. So nothing that I wanted to accomplish got accomplished because my students couldn't understand. So we had to repeat it a lot of times. And I just, at that time, I thought like, oh, but we have heard those words. How in the world you cannot like identify the words? They're so easy. And I kind of like got that kind of frustration attitude. So it was just that class, that song. At the end, I ended up giving them a lot of the words, and it wasn't great. So I kind of like, ooh, I don't know why people say that they love songs. This didn't work really well for me. So at that point, I kind of like just put them on the side. And it was later when we were doing a March Madness that the listening to the song start like changing, because it wasn't about the lyrics or it wasn't about the specific word, but it was more about the like really enjoying the song and finding different genres and different singers. And also I realized at that point that it wasn't about me, right? That it wasn't about the music that I like, the singers that I like, that it was about the students. So I start doing something that I tend to do more now, but I have to be honest with you, I didn't do in the past. I start listening to my students. I start really paying attention to what they like, who they are, and I start bringing music more for them because it's about them. So that was kind of like my beginning and where I am right now with music.
Wow, wow. No, we share a lot of things in common, Claudia. Yeah, I was well. The only thing that I can say is that you mentioned, oh, okay, you had a purpose for your song, even for your very first song. My very first song that I share with my learners, I honestly don't remember. I don't even know why I asked you. Well, I know why I asked you that question, but it was unfair for me to ask you and our listeners that question because I don't remember my first song. I have to think hard about it. It was whatever was on the textbook. Okay, it was whatever was on the textbook. All I do remember is that my first experiences with music in the classroom did not go well at all. But I am so glad that I did not give up and that I kept trying. Just like with everything else, so many experiences that have flopped in my classroom with many other things other than music. But I am loving what our teachers tonight are sharing with us. We have fotografías por Juanes cantando como locos en la clase. Then we have mi PC, mi PC de Juan Luis Guerra, of course, for the chapter about technology. Uh, Same, they share sentiments with you, Claudia, that feeling bad for our students, and then totally Juanes Hierba. Oh,
That is the song.
that's
One
the
is
name of the song.
that was
Yes,
the song that I wanted to do with my
yo
class.
no he escuchado esa canción. I have not
Oh,
heard
it's great. If you are gonna do a unit related to natural medicine, is a great song to use it. El Yerbatero de Juanes. But again, and I think one of the points that we miss is that it's not only, and I think we kind of like always focus on the same thing, right, Berta? And is, of course, it's about proficiency. Of course, it's about acquisition. But there is something that is also something that we need to recognize, and it's the cultural aspect. And there is not a better way, a more compelling way for our students to start really growing that appreciation and enduring appreciation, but through songs. So sometimes we focus so much on the words, right? Like, oh, how can I do the verbs? Or how can I get them write this and the noun and the adjective and all this? forgetting an essential part of the class, that is the cultural appreciation. And I know that we have this conversation in FFLA just a couple of
Weeks
weeks ago.
ago.
Yes, about this. And I think you and I talk about this in another session. How many of our students go to level 3, level 4, or AP?
Mhm.
I mean, if you are here in the chat, just put a number. What do you think is the percentage of students who are going to level 3, 4, AP, or IB? Because I feel like we need to, that is kind of like the white elephant. And I don't know if this is something very obvious, but it's becoming more and more. Okay, so I have one person that says zero. Olvia says 0%. So let's put in the chat, what is the percentage of your students who go to level 3, level 4 AP? Because not a high percentage. Exactly. Unfortunately. Now, we can talk about why. I mean, 50% is huge, Kimberly. That's amazing. Congrats. I mean, you are doing a fantastic job, because the reality is that we don't have those numbers. 20%, Eunice, I think that is around what we have in my school right now. It's 20%. So look at what we're focusing. And I know this is not the topic, Berta, but
No, it's not.
it's just kind of like, sorry. But this is 50%, 2 to 3, about 30% to 4, 5. Look at this, right? Look at this. So 50% go to 2. In my state, in Florida, they have to have the 2 to go to college. In my school, in order to graduate from my school, they have to have the 2 credits. So we have 100% of the students go to 2. 100% of my students go to 2. How many go to 3? Around 20%. How many go to 4? Around 10%. How many go to AP? Around 5%. Now, when we are having conversation about how to master the predicate, how to master the imperfect, the reality is in 2 years, how far are they going to, students are going to get into the proficiency? So if our classes are only focuses on those language and linguistic skills, and we said, the cultural part, that can wait. That can wait to AP, but they never get to AP. So they never get to the cultural aspect. So we didn't get the independence proficiency, because the reality is that in 2 years, how much you can get, maybe with some students, but the majority of your students are not going to go to intermediate low strong, like the majority are not, maybe few. So if we're not doing the linguistic aspect and we're waiting for the cultural aspect, when is going to happen? So when we're talking about songs and we're talking about music, we're talking about compelling, we're talking about cultural, we're talking about the language that our students speak. Is the music, is the sound, is the rhythm. And then when you grab some pieces of those songs, not the entire song, right? Like we don't have to do the entire song, some pieces of the song, and really go into those pieces, the video of those songs, the genres of music. And then we have an incredible, compelling unit where our students are learning words, yes, but they're learning something they're going to take with them. And they're going to remember more than the words, and is the cultural aspect. Because you know that I always say that you cannot love what you just don't know. We cannot feel compassion when we don't know the people. So if we're focusing only on the words, but we do, because those are the biggest conversations that we have. Is like,
Well,
how can we have,
the
right?
question. I'm looking for a song that can feature the subjunctive and things like that. And I've asked those questions in the past, so by no means am I criticizing that, but definitely have to agree with you, Claudia, that is going to not make the song as engaging. And I absolutely love using music, because every single song I am happy to report that every single song that I brought to the classroom, it's a song that my students adopt and they add to their playlist. They ask for it when they're working on something independently, and I play music in the background. That's what they want to hear. Like they're like, oh, pone esta, pone aquella. and like they love, love, love. We've done so many songs, and I am so sad that I have 4 weeks left about with my darlings, and I'm not gonna get to show them all the songs I have in store for them. I'm not gonna get to, I'm gonna have to be selective about what, because I have so many songs I want to do with them. Every song is a story, every song has a cultural lesson in it, and those are some of the mistakes I made. And you talked about this, Claudia. That was one of the mistakes. First of all, I was choosing songs for the wrong reason. Also, I'm a big fan. Those of you who know me, I love salsa and bachata. That's my favorite style of music. I love dancing salsa and bachata. And I used to bring nothing but salsa and bachata my first 3 years of teaching, because that's all I heard. And I only used to bring pop singers, or like from like, that were known, when there we have such a rich variety of artists out there that our students need to listen to. Now, don't get me wrong, I will bring a Shakira song, and I will bring, a song by the popular ones, but I also want to, feature artists from other countries as well, and music from other countries. Although, Claudia, I have to, quitarme el sombrero. Colombia has amazing artists and amazing teachers. Like, it just, like, that's just facts, okay? Saludos a mis maestros colombianos. And then, like, we have Juanes, we have talked about Camilo, we have talked about, this year we haven't talked about Shakira, but in the past we had, and Herencia de Timbiquí, Alex Quintero. I mean, it's just like Colombia, Colombia,
Oh my
Colombia. There
God.
needs to be like,
Choking down. O sea, I mean, but I think that is the point. And I think all the comments are the same. When we see music, not only for like, oh, let me teach the conjugation of this X, Y, and B feature, grammar feature, but also to really, because it's like the communicative purpose, right? Like, we want to entertain, we want the sound, we want to tell the story, we want to
entertain,
really
yes.
know about them. Like, I mean, and then you have some lyrics that are like, oh my gosh, what they say in those lyrics is so relevant to the reality and what happened. So if we bring that, and we bring four lines, and then students get used to that, and the students understand that it doesn't have to be an entire song. It's just four. They feature the four that you like, and then the students start singing it, and they're gonna sing it outside, and then they're gonna find something else, and then you're gonna have one day that they're gonna come and say, "Can we listen to this song?" So they are gonna, because that is their language. So if we give them the space to enjoy music, to enjoy different types of music, to enjoy different singers, when we open that window and we kind of create the bridge, because we have the power, right? Like, we all have the power to look at the lyrics, which are going to be very difficult to handle for a student. But if you look at the lyrics and say, this is the part, this is the part that I love the most about this song, and I want to share that with my students, and I want them to feel it, to live it, to sing it with their heart. And then, remember when we did an FFLA with the song La Reunión by Los
Los
Tigres del
Tigres.
Norte?
Uh-huh.
So we did a class, and we were talking about this song that is called La Reunión, and then Berta did her magic and create several activities with that song, and it was my students, because we were doing a lab. So this is the first time that Berta met my students. So we were co-teaching. So all my students came. There were a group of 20 students, and they came, and we were talking about the song, and we sang the song. And there was a moment where we were singing the song for like the third time. So they were using, like, it was the sentence, and then Berta kind of like got near two of my students, and they were singing the song like when you sing it with a friend. Remember, like those songs that kind of like get you together with somebody that, like, oh, there is a link. They were singing the song like that. So, oh my goodness, I mean, those are the moments that you say, that is how we need to use music in our classes. We
Absolutely,
need to use
absolutely.
music.
I would say, I would go as far as adding another reason why I love using music is because, yes, they will listen to it for their own enjoyment outside of class. I mean, what an honor to be able to give them a song and something that they're going to be blasting on their car. I mean, my students have told me, oh, I was blasting the song on the car the other day. It's so amazing. I mean, it's funny the things they said, the connections they made. The other day, It had been months, a little bit over a month that we had done a song by Camilo called Millones in the classroom, and they love Camilo. And one of my students told me, I had already noticed and I had forgotten to mention it to my class, but she told me in Spanish. It was not 100% correct, but who cares? Dice, Profesora, Camilo tiene un bebé con su esposa. And I was like, oh yes, I forgot to tell you, like I told them, yes, that. And then we listened to their song that, where they made the baby announcement, and they were all like, oh, que dulce, que dulce. And just like, how would they connect with these people? It's like we knew Camilo, like we were all happy that Camilo was having a baby. And so that was interesting, the connections they make. And then same thing, Claudia, I have been many times this semester, like I have been almost in tears when I sing a song with my learners, more than
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
because they're just like so into it, and it just becomes just one cohesive sound, and you can feel their energy, and it's
It is
just like
amazing. It is amazing.
it's a
It
beautiful feeling. So I am going to share. We are going to share several activities today that you can do with any song. And Claudia said I work my magic with the activities for La Reunión. But honestly, I also said, Claudia, I need you to help me because I was like, I want to make this even better for our learners. And I need you to help me. And she gave me some awesome ideas of things that I already kind of like knew, but I had forgotten how powerful they were. And I was just so happy. And I want to encourage you to do this with your team, or to get yourself like a mentor or somebody you can talk to. And when you create an activity, and have another set of eye look at it, because it's so valuable to be able to ask someone, hey, can you look through these activities and tell me how I can enhance it? And like again, Claudia, thank you for that. So I want to share several things, and I'm going to share my screen and some of the activities that we did with this unit at FFLA, which was very successful. And I've done this unit with my learners as well in the classroom. And I have this resource on my TPT store. But again, this is not about you going to buy it from the TPT store. This is about these activities I'm going to present to you. You can do them without going to buy any resource, and you can do them with any song. So we're just kind of going to share with you several things. And let me share my screen.
So
So,
Sandra was saying, I think to do music, you have to be a bit more extrovert, and I feel I'm not. And I think I don't think you, I mean, I hear you, Sandra, because it took me a while to be okay with music. And there's some, I mean, like you have to do what it comes to you, right?
yeah.
Because you need to be you in your class and whatever works for you. But there are a lot of songs, and the music itself is gonna sell by itself. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be in front of this. I mean, you can, like Berta, right? Like Berta loves to dance. So she's gonna be in the front dancing and doing her thing because that's what she loves. I will be like sitting on my high my stool, which is really high, and I'm gonna be just singing. But you don't have to be all like super energetic to do music in your class. Because the songs are gonna do the job for you. So the music is gonna just be exciting for them. Now you have to be excited, because I feel that if we are not excited about the topics that we bring to our class, our students are not going to bring excitement, especially when it's something new. If there is a class like my juniors have heard so much music that I don't have to say anything. I put
Mm-hmm.
any song and they're gonna be excited about it. But when they start with my freshmen, they kind of like, oh, and like freshmen, they're 14, they just think that they know better, that anything is gonna be cool. I mean, like they're kind of like trying to find their place in high school. So they don't know really how to act. They don't know, should we sing? Should we not? Should we move a little bit? So I have to break the ice to make them feel it is okay to enjoy the song. It is gonna be okay. But besides that, I don't think you need to be super energetic to do it.
Absolutely. And I will also say, if you are not, because I love singing, I am not a singer. Okay. I can karaoke and carry a tune, but I am not a singer by any means. But I sing because I love singing anyway, and I sing my heart out. However, I wasn't always this way with my classes. At the beginning, I was kind of like shy singing, But I agree with Claudia. You have to enjoy it, even if you are not super like an extrovert. You do have to show them that you enjoy it. And if you can't sing the whole song with them, you can always play like the lyrics and have the music play for them. It gives them more confidence if you want to have the music play for them. And then, but make sure they hear you sing at least a couple lines, because we don't want to. I don't believe in asking our learners to sing if we're not going to set the example ourselves. So I'm not saying you have to sing the whole song, but let them hear you also take the risk singing. It's kind of like, oh, you're gonna hear my voice, so I get to hear yours, kind of thing. So that's valuable as well. But yes, totally, Claudia. We sometimes think that we need to be like this teacher, this teacher, this teacher to carry out the activities. Something else that I can say too, if you find who your singers are in the classroom. Find which students love to sing. You always have, just like you always have a handful of artists, a handful of dancers, a handful of singers who are just dying and they may not even know it, to express themselves. This is a great way to serve those learners as well. You talk to them beforehand and I say, hey, I'm going to be doing a song. This is the song. Would you mind? Can you help us? Sometimes, they're super shy and they don't want to, and that's fine. We're going to respect that. But most of the time for me, it's like my singers are always like the stars in these types of activities. Oh, that's another way to get other students involved and to give you, so yeah, that way you don't have to carry the whole song on your own. You can count on those learners who love to sing as well. This activity right here that I have in the front, I already shared it last time, so I'm not going to go in depth. This is just every time we're going to sing or learn about a song, we always talk about the artist. We had already done a song by Los Tigres del Norte, so for me it was kind of like a recap that I did with them initially. And then I have like a little reading about that I do my own research. But you can also, if it's a higher level class, like an advanced class, you can have them go do the research and come up with their own facts about, put them in teams and have them come up with their own sentences and facts about Los Tigres del Norte. They are learning about the band, so that's the goal, for them to put sentences together about the band, like to communicate about like what can we gather about this band. So that's really it, and we want to share that with everybody. um I always also do map talk, which I mentioned, which is pretty much, if I said Los Tigres del Norte son de Sinaloa, aquí está Sinaloa en el mapa. And then I can tell, okay, if it's far or near which US states. And then I also mentioned that they live in San Jose, California. So I just kind of like use my maps always to just bring the map, bring the flag, without having to do a lesson about maps and flags. It's like we're revisiting that. And that's very valuable as well. Um, Claudia said, let's compare and contrast to another band. And what a powerful idea. This was Claudia's idea. She said, that way we can have them make connections. Now, I realized something, Claudia. Your students were very knowledgeable about Los Beatles, pero my students were not. So they knew I said, ask your parents, and they went and asked their parents. And they're like, oh yeah, my parents knew who they were. And some of them, I only had maybe like 3 kids who knew who I was talking about. But it was relevant anyway, because this, it's part, even though the Beatles are not from the US, they were so big in the US and in English speaking culture. So it was so valuable to talk about this. And then we played like a game, like move to this side, move to this side, move to this side, and we gave them sentences. And the sentences had to do with what we had read about Los Tigres del Norte and what we had read about Los Beatles. And then they had to move in and they had to listen. So the idea was to communicate messages about the bands. And the process, they were listening to specific structures, but the idea was to communicate messages about the bands.
Now, one question that I always get when I do these type of activities is like, what sentences are you gonna recycle? And basically, this is what I think: less is more. So when you're presenting a singer like, or a band like Berta did with the reading about Los Tigres del Norte, then ask yourself, what I want my students to really take in their brain, like really get home with this. And you're going to say, okay, so I want them to know that they're a group. I want them to know that they're from Mexico. I want them to really be able to understand and get it really well that they cross the border and they're immigrants. And I want them to know that they are talking what they sing about. I want them to know that they sing about love and are heartbroken and the stories of immigrants, right? So that is what you want. So if that is, so you're gonna give them a big reading, right? Like Berta did. It was longer. It was more in details, and then you are talking to all the levels of proficiency that you have in your class. So the one that are higher levels are gonna understand a lot of the details. The one that are the middle are gonna understand some details. The one that are in the lower percentage, Berta is gonna have to bring them, make it really comprehensible, and really go to the main things that you feel it is the goal, right? Like what is gonna be the one that I want. So choose five, no more. Four. If your group is really novice, your group is really weak, then three, right? Focus on those 3 to 5 facts. And then you bring those 3 and 5 facts. Write it on a post-it, right? Like get a post-it and write it. So you make sure that you're intentionally repeating that because we want those structures to have in our students' brain. So sometimes what I feel we get really, really stressed in our class is because we want to give them a lot and we want them to get a lot in their brain and we want them to produce a lot. And that's a lot, right? That's a lot of a
Yes,
lot, a lot. So when you say, you know what, these are my 10 words, these are my 5 sentences, and at the end of the day, if they can understand these 5 facts, if they can kind of like get these 10 words, I call it a success. So when you do that, you're gonna be so much more intentional in all the activities that you do, and your students are gonna feel successful
mhm,
instead of trying to say, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do," because the reality is that in a lesson we cannot expect our students to get. They're gonna understand in the moment that Berta is talking, right? Because she's gonna be drawing or painting or doing TPR actions or doing something to make it comprehensible. But as soon as she finished, it's gonna be bye bye, right?
yeah,
So what are you gonna bring back? So five, right? And then 10 words. And I think when we look at that, it's so much more manageable for us.
absolutely, Claudia. And I wanted to say too, it is so true because you're being more strategic with your lesson. Sometimes we go all over the place. I know I tend to do that a lot, and that's why talking to you helps me a lot because I always want to like, oh, but I can do this too. I can do this too. I can do like I can. I mean, my brain goes, oh, like 100 miles per hour with one song. Like, oh, I want to touch this theme, this topic, and I can also talk about this aspect of it, and and it's like, no, 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 bring it back here, bring it back. This is I absolutely love TPR, and I have been sharing in my Instagram community. And at La Profesora Delgadillo on Instagram, I've been sharing a little bit about TPR and my first experience with TPR. When I went to my first TPR session ever, it was not very pleasant. Like I learned about it, but it was not like it was not even fun for me. And then also, I was told that I needed to be teaching with that all the time for it to work, and that's not necessarily the truth. So I absolutely love that Claudia said we can do some TPR with these words, and here are like the 10 words. And what I love about it is that she selected these words, and let's do TPR. So we did abrazamos and olvidemos and nos equivocamos. And again, I did some with Claudia and her students at the FFLA a language lab, and I did change them up a little bit with my learners because I told my learners, okay, how can we do a gesture for this? This is the beauty about TPR, is that you can make it up with your learners in class on the spot. And so it's like a stronger connection that with TPR, that was created by Dr. James Asher. We have the idea is that the students link the word, the word or phrase with the meaning. They make a strong link with it, and then they hear it and they hear it over again. And so Claudia suggested we did the TPR, and we did this with her students. And then we played La Maestra Dice, which, it's an activity I learned from La Maestra Loca. Claudia, I don't know who you learned it from, um, but like the first time I heard La Maestra Dice, I seen Annabelle Williamson model it. But we did that activity with the song, and it was so much fun for the learners. And in my classroom, I also did this activity with the students, which is like Simon says, but La Maestra Dice with these. And we do it every day. Every day we're doing the song. And even in the future, we can do it for a brain break again. And I have so many variations of TPR games that I did with my learners, with the music, with the songs that I'm going to be blogging about as well. But it is just so valuable. And what I want to say, the objective was not to tackle the nosotros forms of anything. That was like the cherry on the top. I was asking my students, as I was going over the structures again, I was asking my learners, okay, perdonar, ¿qué es perdonar? It's like to forgive. Okay, si digo perdonamos, ¿qué es perdonamos? And they're like, we forgive. And I digo, how do you know that? Oh, okay. We have amos, emos. So they're making a connection, but that's not the focus of the lesson, but they're making the connection anyway. So they know, they feel pretty comfortable with it. And they have, we did abrazamos, olvidemos, nos equivocamos, all words that are going to come up with a song. And then we play the song, and then we have them do the gestures while every time they hear the song, and they have to gesture whatever gestures we have established. And that's more repetition for the song. They're listening to it attentively, and they're not listening for the whole meaning of the song. They're just listening out for those phrases. And we know with acquisition, something is going to stay. Claudia, I don't know if you have something else you want to add about the TPR.
I feel like this is something that we should do more. Definitely, we should do more, because this is the complaint that we have as teachers. Tell me if I'm alone here. My complaint is I have used that structure so many times, and my students still don't remember.
Yep.
And I get so frustrated. But the truth is, I haven't been as intentional as I should be. Now, we have all different students in our class. Every single student is different. So some of them are going to acquire faster because that's how their brain works. And they're going to get the word and they're going to be able to say it. When that happens, we as teachers have this false sense that everybody else should have done it, right? Because I have Janet and Rebecca and Esther and Sandra. Oh, they got it. They got it. So because they got it, I'm saying, oh, Angelica also got it. And Janet also got it. And Florencia. And then we start assuming that everybody got it in our class. And then we act up that assumption. And then we start leaving students behind because they're like, what is she talking about? What is he talking about? Like, I don't understand this. However, when we have some words, some structure that you feel they're the essential ones, you feel that those are the structures that your students need to be able to communicate successfully for that specific topic or thing. So when you have this, which are these 10, and then you do TPR with them, then you're adding a layer, right? Because then you may want to have a visual, then you have the word, then you translate it, and then you have the layer of the gesture. And if every time that you're using abrazamos, then you say, oh, abrazamos, then you're adding more. And I'm telling you, we have that class. We have one class with these words. And my students, at the end, I will say abrazamos, and they made the connection. And then today, they're saying olvidamos, oh, te equivocaste, nos equivocamos. Those are words that my students are still using in class today. And it's because we add more. So my thing is, we really should do this more. We should, and it can be a great brain break that we can do. But if you kind of identify what are your structures that you're working on it, and you assign a gesture. And I love what Berta did, because Berta said, I came to my class with these words, but we don't use the same gestures that we use with Claudia's students. I ask my students, what gesture you want to do? So you are inviting your students to create a gesture with you, and you create a gesture and you play and you do it. No one time, not two times. You do it over all that period of time. And if you remember, every time that you say that word, you can do the gesture, it will be steroids. Like it will be really helping your students with the memory for that, for those words.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share some videos. I've been sharing, again, I share, it's easier for me to share on Instagram because I can share a reflection in everything and it stays there and it's more organized. Like I haven't shared as much on our face on this Facebook community. Um, because it just, in here all the videos get lost and it's just easier to organize them on Instagram. But I will share some of the videos of this TPR activities and variations so that the people in the Facebook community who are not on Instagram can also benefit from those variations. TPR is just, Claudia, thank you so much. You reminded me of how powerful it was. Like I had done TPR and I had done it recently, but not like with the song. I was like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like, and it was just so powerful. And it's something else that I can add to my music now. And again, yes, we should be doing more of it. You are totally right because I like it clicked for me when I met with you last time. So once we have established those phrases, we can talk about the story in the song. Most of the time, songs are a great opportunity because it has the culture embedded in it. In the video, there's so many cultural aspects. So I'm not gonna play this video for time's sake, but I will say this. This video is about a family reunion, possibly a Hispanic family in the United States. It seems like the family is in the United States. And the video, they do have some beer bottles, but they don't have any labels. So I always tell my students, this is not a beer bottle for school purposes. So, and it's fine. So always preview the song, and if the song doesn't work, you can always just use the lyric song. If you don't want to share the whole song, but trust me, the song is so valuable. It's so valuable and it's so beautiful and it has such a beautiful message. And not only that, it has opportunities for social emotional learning. Today I started this lesson with my learners like early last week, like on Tuesday of last week, and right now, just today, we closed the song with all the activities I had made for it, and we have enjoyed it so much. And not only that, today they wrote they had to write a letter, not a letter, a note, not a letter, because that was a note, using the Spanish they knew and using lyric chunks from the song. They had to write a note to asking for forgiveness or giving forgiveness. And oh my God, when I saw those notes, I was just like, whew, like I'm not gonna tell you that every single student wrote a heartfelt, serious note, but most of them did. The things they were apologizing for. Some of them wrote notes to themselves, and we talked about the importance of forgiving yourself for different things. So we had an opportunity to embed social emotional learning as well in this unit because of the content of the video and the message of the video, and it was just such a beautiful video. So Claudia in our FFLA language lab, she did a clip chat or movie talk, whatever you want to call it, of the video, and she used the same structures we preloaded right here to talk about it. Then we wrote no, we did not write a paragraph about it, but we did like a clip chat about it. Let me go. And then like I have some slides in here, but you can just do your own story as well. But some people like to have the slides, so I have those slides over there already. And yeah, and then you can do a clip chat about it, and write and discuss about it, and then you can use that text to do many more activities. I mean, seriously, like we can spend on the song easily 2 weeks. But I want to say this, and I want to tell you that you don't have to spend 2 weeks on a song. You can just, if you're like, okay, I don't have, but it's valuable time because you are most definitely communicating about, your students are reading, your students are listening. You can have all types of activities for all types of communication modes, and they're just so valuable. I just find so much value on all the different types of songs. And if there's a cultural aspect, or more than one cultural aspect on it, it's so important to do that. I mean, what a more beautiful and more natural way to bring culture than with the songs. I love those songs that have those messages. Now, I'm not gonna say I always bring songs that have cultural messages. Sometimes you just want a catchy song. Sometimes you just want a catchy song. That, that was the case for me and Millones. Millones with Camilo. It's a love song, but it's catchy, and it has a good rhythm. And then obviously you can tie it to relationships. And yes, you can make questions about that song that will connect with the learner before to preload the vocabulary. So there are just so many ways, and like hundreds of activities we can do, literally hundreds of activities we can do with a song that are meaningful, and they're going to have an impact on the learner. So I just wanted to say, if you want to several things, again, I share with you the song. That song, it's on my TPT store if you want to get it like already ready to go. It has handouts for novice learners, novice, I would say novice, novice high, and and intermediate learners. Okay, so I have two separate, it's the same packet, but it has activities for a lower level and that for intermediate level. And then also I want to invite you to consider joining Claudia, because again, I have just learned so much. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, Claudia, thank you for all your guidance. I like, it's just, I have always prayed to God to surround me by amazing people. And, you're just, one of those best things that came to me during COVID. And I'm just always surprised, because when I am talking to you, I never know when I'm going to have an aha moment. And I'm just beyond thankful for everything you have shared with me, like wholeheartedly, as a friend, behind closed doors, and also as being a member of your beautiful community, growing with Proficiency. um, and I'm going to let Claudia tell you a little bit, because I have teachers who sometimes come to my classroom. I had a teacher who came to my classroom to observe me last week. And she asked me several questions. I said, well, I learned this from Claudia. Like, you can get more training about this with Claudia. And like, Claudia's Growing with Proficiency Academy is not only for the beginner teacher who's making the shift, but I consider myself a little bit more experienced, and I find so much value in it, even though I may not be in attendance to all the sessions that Claudia hosts, because I have my own things going on. But when I can catch the videos, or when I can see the resources, it's just like, it's worth every penny. And it is an academy that is not open all year round, so you kind of had to catch your opportunity to join it whenever it's going to be opening its door. And I know, Claudia, for a fact, you're going to have an opportunity for more people to join your academy soon. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away.
So thank you so much, Berta. So for now, what I want to invite you all is, I really believe in empowering world language teachers. I think it is not about a specific resource, it's not about a specific activity. I think when we really feel this empowerment and this level of satisfaction of our career is when we have the clarity. And that's why I decided to I run a lot of trainings just so you have the clarity. So if you are interested in knowing more about comprehensible input based teaching, if you want to have a more comprehensible and communicative driven classroom, but you're still in the textbook, in your traditional curriculum, and you really don't know how to do this, the shift. Oh, thank you. We have so many love here. So what I want to invite you is to join me to these live sessions that I'm hosting in my community, where I'm talking about making the shift to CI. I don't know how many times I have heard a teacher saying, I love what you talk about. I love what you say. I love the activities that I see. I love the videos that I see, but I tried, it didn't work. I'm going to go back. And it makes me so sad, because I know when we do the transformation and when we do the shift and when we gain that clarity, we kind of feel stronger in our practice. So that's why I'm doing these sessions, and they're going to be live and they're free. So you can sign up for them. Is growingwithproficiency.com / the shift now, and you can sign up. Session one is already done, but you can access to the replay of session one with the workbook, and then join me in the session two. And eventually I'm gonna open my academy again. I don't open it all the time because I teach full time, but when it's open, then if you sign up to the shift now, then I will let you know when it's open, so you can make the decision if you want to join me. Berta is my great member. She's my founding member, of course, because she supports me in everything. But what I really want in that community is to have teachers that want to have this work, because we do have 3 to 4 sessions, live trainings every month. Plus, I share resources like these November resources. All the resources that Berta did for La Reunión are part of the package. So we do ready to use resources. We have a course, a self-paced course inside the community. So it's a lot of things for the teachers when you're saying, like, you know what, I need to take power and control of my teaching. I need to get the understanding. So that is what I do. I'm going to put the link for the live sessions if you want to join me. Those are free. And it's basically a conversation like this conversation that I had with Berta. So you can get the clarity to really understand how to be intentional. And we don't do what we always do. That is like, just spinning in our wheels, trying to find the results, trying to find the activity, what I'm going to do now. And it takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes effort. But when you surround yourself with a good community that is going to support you, things get a little bit better. Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yes, yes, and you have also, if you join the academy, there is a close, very close Facebook community as well in there, where members sometimes post their something they learned from the academy, or maybe a resource that Claudia used, and they're like, "Oh, well, I created this, and here I want to share it," or you can share it, and Claudia will give you some feedback in that community as well. Just super, super valuable. Like Claudia mentioned, there's nothing, I mean, we love, as teachers, we want to have everything done for us, but honestly, there is a lot of power when we build the things like for our learners. And the learners really, really value it. And then also, not only that, over time it gets easier and easier, and you can just pick up any song and then tweak and say, oh, I did this last time, so you do the same sets of activities. And again, you don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel, but I highly recommend Claudia's community for those reasons. I really think it's super affordable as well. It's a great investment. So definitely check it out. You can go to growingwithproficiency.com / the shift now for those free series, and then then you can make a decision as well. So thank you so much, Claudia, for being with us here tonight.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody who stayed until the end. We're so honored for your time, and we will be talking to you soon. I don't know when, because now I don't really make the appointments. It's just like whenever I can get myself there. But thank you so much for being part of this community. And thank you, Claudia. I hope you have a great evening. Have a great evening, everybody. Until next
You
time.
too. Bye, everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you.
Oh,
Great.
thank you. Aw.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hasta luego.
Chao, chao. Nos vemos.